But on the contrary, empty space being a continuum, as is the tension existing between any points situated in empty space that do not occupy fully fixed positions, because empty space is not formed by several independent points, but is a unique extensive geometric whole united by its same nature everywhere, allows chosen points in space to relatively oscillate, travel, and move because they are themselves, the points, entities, physicists of always imaginary or relative existence. What actually exists is the infinitely extensive empty space. Points like strings and all the rest of physics always have only a relative existence, since all the concepts of physics are built or founded on the void. Points located very close together in empty space at certain distances, proportional to their high frequencies, are oscillatory elements that can form microstrings that are very difficult to disarm or have a very long half-life. These are the elementary particles that form matter. Each elementary particle of a different type just corresponds to a different type of geometric arrangement or microstring length with respect to the frequency oscillatory wave of the string, which also causes a different duration time or half-life for different types of particles. The speed of waves in the microstrings that are the elementary particles of matter is the same speed with which light travels enormous distances or gigantic strings through empty space until reaching our eyes, thus showing that all concepts of physics always have one and the same nature. Time is not discrete, discontinuous, or formed by indivisible seconds or any other unit of measurement. The reason for this is that empty space is continuous. Just as we label time, we also label the various nows. In fact, physically, the nows do not exist, but we invent them. We create them when we freeze the reality whose nature is change, transmutation because it happens continuously, even in a time interval equal to zero. Who labels, who baptizes the changes in A, B, or C is the man. Who counts the time quantifying it is the man. Physically, such quantities do not exist at all because they can never be separated from the rest, in fact. There is no physical process that is irreversible in the sense that it is physically impossible to reverse. The entropic arrow of time is an illusion. It has only relative, not absolute value. It is indeed very useful for us, but it is always valid for a limited time only. Just as there is a constant interaction between all physical objects, there is also a constant interaction between all points in empty space. The fact that it is physically impossible to definitively separate a point in empty space from any other point in empty space makes these points something unique. Not two separate points, but a single line joining them, which is what allows the existence of movements, oscillations, variations, exchanges between these 2 points. The nature of motion, physical objects, and empty space is one. The ceasing of existing in the previous position to existing in the next one, as occurs in movements, is never free, separate, isolated, independent. A position in empty space is always physically perfectly united, linked to all others. This is what allows the existence of movements even in the present with a by-time duration equal to 0, and makes every movement always also totally equivalent to a perfect situation of rest, because if we look at any movement in a global way, we realize that despite apparently the object moves from point A to point B globally, seen in general, the object never ceases to be connected to point A, just as it has always been connected to point B. As it is physically impossible to break these connections, movement is a concept that has a conceptual validity that is always only local and limited, relative, never absolute. Movement is a concept that does not exist absolutely. To speak of an absolute movement is to say a paradox. What exists absolutely is rest, which is always perfectly equivalent to all local and relative motions. Time never exists in an absolute way, only in a relative way. Therefore, the universe as a whole is eternal. For him, time does not exist. Locally, time is relatively infinite. It has never had an absolute beginning and will never have an absolute end. Thanks for watching, subscribe to my channel, and give your like if you enjoy it.